This is a Blairing Out with Eric Blair show, and we're here tonight at the premiere of What We Do Is Secret, a movie about the life of Darby Crash, and we're here with his very intimate friend, Hellin Killer. How you doing, Helen?
I'm doing great. Hi, how's it going?
Good. What is special about tonight for you?
Oh my God, I've been hanging around this thing now since the beginning of them starting to get the movie started, through all the ups and downs and the breaks in between. I think it's something that has to be kind of told. I think that it's just kind of surreal, actually, the whole thing. I mean, from back in the day, from like hanging out with Darby till now, it's a big deal. You know, he was somebody who changed a lot of things, you know? I mean, he wasn't there to see it, and maybe that's just the way it has to be with certain people. You know, the changes won't happen unless something that bad, you know, happens, unless somebody dies. It's been a long time coming. I mean, they've been trying to do something like this now since the early 80s, and it was very difficult. And I absolutely had my reservations about the whole thing, you know, because you do. When it's something that's that close to you, you do. And I have to say, I've seen it about 5 times now, and every time I see it, I like it better. And after the first time, I've never been able to stay to the end, though. I have to walk out. It breaks me. It's so, you know, they did it right.
What is the legacy of Darby Crash for you personally?
He's one of like probably the 3 people in my life I was really that close to. And okay, here's personal. My son was conceived the night he died. So, you know, his name's Alexander Jan Paul Rossler, because it was just too crazy and weird. I mean, I still dream about him. He was just one of the people that you meet in your life that makes such an impact, and they're so important to you that, I mean, all of this is great, but he would be that person to me anyway, you know? There's certain people that come through once in a while that are magic. And if they're taken away from you, that leaves a bigger impact. It really does. Because you remember them exactly the way they were. I mean, there's still Lorna and Pat and Dawn and everyone who I'm so close to. And, I mean, I was like fifth wheel with that band. I went everywhere with them. I went, you know, to San Francisco with them. I went here. Every time they played, I was on stage. It was... You know, if there was a band I had to pick that was the band that was it for me, they're it. And the amazing thing is, I'm still doing it. It had to mean something, because everywhere they go, I'm still there. You know, and we're still friends. And so big impact, major. I mean, they're part of my life.
Tell me about Roger Grossman. What is special about him, and what do you love about him?
I can't even tell you that. He's amazing. You know, he's the best guy ever. And he put his heart and soul into this. Everything he had, literally. That takes somebody special and somebody who's really willing to commit to do what he did. I mean, he went on such a limb to do this and to get it done and to get it out. And I love him anyway. I mean, I just adore him. I can't begin to tell you. There's just something about the guy.
Why should people see What We Do Is Secret?
It doesn't even have to be about the punk rock scene, although, you know, if anybody wants to know, and it is such a huge thing now, and it made such an impact. But I mean, the Germs were the first hardcore band there was. And if you look at the music scene, it changed everything. It changed everything. I mean, if you look at the fashion, it changed everything. It was a turning point in history, literally. And Darby himself was... just such an amazing human being, and Shane does such a great, incredible job.
He's amazing.
You know, I mean, when we were watching him doing it, he's like channeling. You know, he really gave it everything. That was one of the scary things. It's like, could they get anyone to ever even come close? And he did. He did. I don't care what all the people who like say bad stuff and go, what would Darby would be going, yes. Do you know, he would be like, yes. I talked to his niece, and she's like, and I, you know, tell her what's going on, and, you know, it's the last family basically he's got left, and I stay in touch with her because she wants to know, and it's important to her, you know, it's like a legacy.
The Canterbury.
I was in London.
You were.
I was in London. That's when I was living with Sid and Nancy.
What was that like?
There's another movie coming out in October about that. I already did a long interview on that. There's a film called Who Killed Nancy by Alan Parker coming out in London, and he's been working on it now for quite a while. I met everyone because I think I kind of got on the scene like in the early 70s. You know, went to the Palladium, saw the New York Dolls, Iggy Pop, all the bands before punk rock that were punk rock. And somehow I liked those bands before there was punk rock. So then there was Slump. And then in 76, we were already reading the papers about these bands that were starting. And there was so few people. And somehow I was the kid that went, I'm taking the Greyhound to New York for the summer because I need to go over there and hang out. And like any band that came here, we hung out with because the scene was so small. There was, 100 people. And so they'd stay at our house, we'd drive them around, and it was so small. All those bands became huge eventually, on some level. But at the time, it was just a bunch of kids hanging out. And I did live with both of them.
How did you survive, is what I want to know.
I think I was kind of a kid, you know, I wasn't into like the whole heroin thing. That always kind of freaked me out, and I was just like drinking and hanging out. And, you know, when the Sex Pistols came to America, I was like, we're driving out to Dallas somehow. And they're like, how? And I'm like, I got on the phone and I found somebody who was willing to drive. 5 of us got in a Volkswagen, and then we got there, and Sid showed up to sound check, and I had tickets in my hand, and he grabbed them out of my hand and said, no. And he went and got us all our money back and put us on a guest list. He was a big kid. He was so excited to see like some kids that had driven from LA to see him. Sweet. And then there was the whole headbutting incident, and it was just history after that.
Blairing Out with Eric Blair show with Hellin Killer, signing off.
The Blairing Out Show.